This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Your friends are nerdy and you are nerdy too. I want to talk to you, friends talking nerdy.
This is the podcast making, public transit taking, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, son of a gun, Tim the Nerd, welcoming you to another episode of Friends Talking Nerdy, part of the Deluxe Edition Network. Head to deluxeeditionnetwork.com to find out about all of the lovely shows on the Den. And seated next to me, applying emergency lip balm as she normally does for most situations like this, we have the most electrifying professor in podcasting today, Professor Aubrey. How you doing?
I'm good. You're right. I was just applying some lip balm, and you're right. I do that in most situations. I put on a lot of lip balm.
Yes. Yeah, like you probably go through about your weight in lip balm per year?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so, and I usually have about 5 going, various places around the house and in my clothing. I wash them regularly, but I usually find them before I dry them, which I didn't used to find them before I dried them.
Oh.
So I ended up with lots of very waxy stains on lots of clothing.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. You've gotten better though, but yeah, like you do have, like you mentioned, have like strategically placed lip balm everywhere because you never know when you're going to lose it.
Exactly.
Yeah. When did the lip balm obsession first begin?
I can't recall. I mean, it's been
years and years and years.
I can't recall a time not wanting lip balm.
Even at 5 years old.
I don't remember when I was 5.
10 years old. I don't remember. I'm kidding. We've had a good end of the day meal here, thanks to the wonderful neighborhood we live in.
That's right. We have tried out today the Alberta Carts, which is like a play on Alberta Arts. The C is very small, so it looks like Alberta Arts, but it has a little C, so it's really Alberta Carts.
Oh.
Get it?
Okay, anyway.
Yeah, so there's some good carts in there. Now we have an East on Thai, which is my favorite Thai restaurant. There is a Indian place. There's a barbecue place. There's a wood-fired pizza place. There's a Rollin' Fresh, which is sushi burritos.
Like a breakfast food cart?
There is a breakfast food cart, breakfast sandwiches, yeah.
Yeah, you look so impressed by them.
Well, there was maybe one I liked.
But I'm pulling your chain a little bit here. But overall, to your point, a great collection of food carts. I mean, we haven't had a chance to sample all of them yet, but especially that pulled pork place.
Yeah.
Damn fine food.
Yeah. It's called we should give them a plug because it was so very good. Wonder Boys Smokestack.
There we go.
Wonder Boys Smokestack. Very good barbecue cart. Has pulled pork. They were out of brisket. It's got burnt pork belly, short ribs, a lot of pork. Pork short ribs, pork belly, and pulled pork shoulder or butt or whatever. And they were out of brisket. So we had chicken and pulled pork.
And it was delicious. That is the one thing that, as far as my experiences living around the country have gone, Portland has a great food scene, especially with the food carts, because a lot of times it is just a local person just put their money in and bet on themselves to have this little cart, and you can just have some great food around town here. I mean, I've talked about Stretch the Noodle before. I believe the cart is still there, but the original owners ended up selling the place. Mm-hmm.
But my understanding is that they taught them the way of the noodle before they left.
Yeah, that was interesting. They had a newspaper article about the place, and it wasn't just you give us this amount of money and we go away. It was you give this to us, and then for a month or two we'll walk you through the steps of what we do here, because a lot of it is about the food preparation. They make the noodles in front of you. And that's awesome.
Yeah. It's totally cool.
What are some of your other favorite food carts in town?
I like some of the Mexican carts. Like, most of the taqueria carts are good that I've ever been to. I don't know. I don't actually eat at food carts that often.
Well, but over your time in Portland, you may have come across some.
Right, sure. There was this one place, there was a cart on Mississippi. It was the first cart. It was when the carts just started. And it was the first cart on Mississippi. And they had a delicious herb biscuit egg sandwich. So it was egg, cheddar, and this delicious homemade herb biscuit. And it was affordable. It was like $7 or something. And then she made fresh juice to order. So you could get yourself fresh juice and a sandwich.
Yeah, that definitely sounds good. One I remember that's unfortunately not there anymore. It was downtown in Pioneer Square. Big honkin' burritos.
I think it is there.
If it is, they must have brought it back, because a lady, last I checked, was looking to sell. And this is at the time I was working at Apple. And for like the last couple of years at Apple, the cart was not there, period. So if it's there again, then it's back. But, she had this deal to where it was a punch card system. After every 6 burrito purchases, you get the 7th for free.
Oh.
And that was one burrito that I really couldn't tackle all in one sitting.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was a vegetarian burrito too, but with the way she cooked it up, you could tell she was a good cook, because a lot of times when people think vegetarian, they think, let's just throw all these vegetables in one thing, wrap it up, and call it good. No, you gotta still put some effort into it, because I'm sure people have had those burritos where you take a bite and it's mostly just the beans and they're all smushed up and, yeah. But she made it taste really damn good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like something you would like, as the large portions are really your thing.
Apparently, yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to watch out on that, but, I see food, I must eat it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was the guy that loved him some Golden Corral before the pandemic.
Yeah, before the pandemic. Golden Corral. That's so ridiculous.
Of the buffets that I've been to, they make their food not for an elderly audience. So there's actually flavor in it, and I'm sure compared to even like an Applebee's, quality-wise, it's probably not as good as something like that, but it's still better than like what an Old Country buffet was. That place was awful.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that the Golden Corral was better than anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's like...
Did it have tasty yeast rolls or something?
No, they would have like, an actual like chef there cutting you like slices of beef or that you wanted, and it's the usual thing to where the plates are always just a little bit small, and you got to keep on going back, and they hope, you veg out on all of the starchy stuff first, so you don't have to eat 50 pounds of meat. But you
had them figured, and so you just ate the meat.
For the most part, I mean, I you know me, I love me some mac and cheese and mashed potatoes, so I had plenty of that too. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't the type at a buffet like that to have like 7ths or 8ths. Usually it was like 2nds, maybe 3rds, and 3rds would usually probably be dessert. Mm-hmm. But like big heaping plates, just lots of potatoes, put all kinds of like meatloaf on top of it. Good stuff.
Wow. Whoa.
Yes, growing food for a growing boy.
Anyway, I think that the food cart culture that started here in Portland is like spread through the rest of the world for sure. And I'm sure we're not the first place to have food carts. Like, I remember in Paris getting a panini way before we had panini in America at a little cart on the side of the road in Paris. It was so delicious.
Now, is the panini over there kind of like what French onion soup is? Like one of those things that's like cheap over there, but because it was made in France, and if they make it in America, they could raise the price up?
Right.
It was like that? Okay.
Yes. It was like a street food, but here it was like a French fancy food.
Gourmet stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I heard on like a history YouTube channel I follow about French onion soup and how it really is just one of the, it became famous in France during a time to where people were poor, and it wasn't considered a fancy food. It was just the easiest food you could put together, which 9 times out of 10 most people are cooking that anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very smart move. And put a bread in a Parmesan and you just take something very simple and make it very artisan.
Yeah, the artisan is the 20% increase in price if you buy it.
Right.
Yeah. Look at me, Mr. Cynical. We do have some amazing food carts here in town. I know New York has like New York City, for instance. Like they've had food carts for like the longest time. Yeah,
they've probably always had food carts.
Yeah, I mean, it was food carts were not something you really saw in Grand Rapids. The closest we would get to it would be during festival time, Festival of the Arts, usually in June. The first federally funded from the National Endowment of the Arts festival in the country, thanks to Gerald Ford. I've mentioned that many times before on the show here, but they would have just food carts popped up all around downtown. You'd walk around. The big popular thing growing up, at least, was always the elephant ears. We
didn't have those. We had funnel cake. Similar to an elephant ear is fried dough.
That's one thing I discovered in Maine. Like they have a dish in Maine that they call American chop suey. That when I grew up in Michigan, my mother called it goulash.
Oh,
And I didn't realize that they had like regional things that were like essentially the same food, just with different names based on where in the country you were. But I mean, if you think about it, if people are having, calling, soda or pop by different names based on where you are in the country, I guess that's going to be easy to do. But food is unique. I love food.
Yeah, I mean, everybody loves food, right?
Yeah, especially our cats.
I like the seasonal treats. So now the seasonal treats of the season are Easter treats. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of egg-related treats.
Filled with chocolate.
And jelly beans.
Did I ever show you that Family Guy cutaway gag where they supposedly had how the Reese's peanut butter cups were created?
Oh, no.
It was like one guy driving in a car like, I love this chocolate. Another guy driving in a car going, this is great peanut butter. And then those two guys crash and do a head-on collision. And then Officer Reese's shows up and discovers that the chocolate and the peanut butter goes well together, gets an evil look in his eye, and then he kills the two guys in the car. And that's how Reese's peanut butter cups are apparently made.
Nice.
According to Family Guy.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. Anyway, any other thoughts on food carts here in town?
No, just I love them. It's a good place to go when nothing else is open because they tend to be open later.
A lot of times too, like they're quite reasonably priced for what you get.
Yeah, because it's cheaper rent.
Yeah, just if you have the opportunity to shop at a place like that too, because this seems to like one of those types of jobs like back in the day, how like people would come from different countries, and the easiest jobs that they felt they could get would be if they bought like a convenience store or something like that. Mm-hmm. This is kind of along the same lines, because to your point, like some of the best Mexican food carts I've had like there was one downtown, this Mexican lady. Every time I went there, I knew I was going to get a good burrito. Mm-hmm. And there's just something, I guess, about people that grew up in that food culture making that instead of a white guy named Trent.
Right.
Which is not to say that a white guy named Trent couldn't make a good burrito, but by default, I think your first instinct as a consumer should be to go to the people who did it first and then branch out from there.
Right. Yeah, agreed.
I have had some fun playing a video game this weekend.
Have you?
Yes, I have.
What video game?
I invested in the new WWE 2K24 game.
You invested in it.
Yeah, I mean,
Like you're going to get a return on the number of people who also play the game or something?
yes, it's like a pyramid scheme, and I, get people. No. That was just a fancy way of saying I bought it. So,
Gotcha.
yes, I bought the game. Very interesting game so far, as in terms of like the in-game match physics. It still pretty much runs the same as the previous years, which is not a bad thing, because you don't want to pick up a game and then have that you think is like a sequel to a previous game, and then have to learn totally brand new control layouts and systems. But the fun part so far is that this year the showcase mode, what the showcase mode is they go through like select stories, in this case, and throughout wrestling history, and if you follow certain things throughout the match, at the end you get some surprises, like you get wrestlers that you can use for like universe mode and some of the other modes. But this year the showcase mode is 40 years of WrestleMania.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm not complete with it yet. I'm up to the point I'm up to the match at WrestleMania 13 where Stone Cold Steve Austin faced Bret the Hitman Hart in an I Quit match. An absolute classic, the match that made Austin a star. But I will say that as far as graphics go this year, I think the game has looked this good in a long time. I think the character models definitely resemble the actual wrestlers a lot more than they have in the past. Sometimes with the 2K games, with some performers, they don't necessarily look like the actual person they're representing. And I can understand it being somewhat of an issue for like older wrestlers that are no longer alive and can't go through like the 3D scanning to get like a precise thing of what the face looks like. But, sometimes with the newer performers, if they mess them up, it's just like, were you really trying that hard?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It looks like the graphics were really great, the little part that I saw of it.
Yeah, you saw one of the new match types that they announced here, and that is the ambulance match. And the goal of that match is to beat your opponent up so much that by the time you throw them into an ambulance and close the door, you win.
They can't get out.
They can't get out. They're going to go to the hospital whether they have to or not.
And probably they should.
Or, brain damage, anybody? But,
now, is this a kind of match that is going to now be in the wrestling generally? With live wrestlers?
It's been used before.
Oh, really?
They have had ambulance matches in the past. They had a variation on it at one of the pay-per-views I went to, the Bash in 2009 in Sacramento, where I brought my son Isaac to the show. They had a 3 Stages of Hell match, and between Triple H and Randy Orton, and the third match, if it got to that, was a stretcher match. You had to put your opponent on a stretcher and then move them past a particular line on the stage to win.
Weird.
Yeah, and that show featured a young Cody Rhodes.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was cool. But they had that. They brought the casket match back. They also brought back special guest referee. And that was one that sounded like you were kind of excited about potentially trying out yourself.
Yeah. I thought it might be interesting to be the referee, yes. And be able to, punish people for doing bad things, breaking the rules.
Yeah. I'm not going to count because you're stupid. I don't like your outfit.
Yeah, I mean, the outfits are important.
As we discussed last week, they definitely are. But I also dipped my toe in they have a mode called My Rise, where you create a character, either a man or a woman, and there are 2 separate storylines, one for a man, one for a woman, that they go through. So it's pick or choose. Dip my toes in that, and I'm liking it more than last year, even though the layout is pretty similar to what it was last year. Like you're backstage at a WWE event and you're talking with somebody and you can choose to face them in a match if you wish. And then you go to the ring. It's nothing, it's not curing, cancer or anything like that. But overall, pretty solid, fun experience. You have a lot of unlockables that you can take advantage of opening up after certain points in the game, because if you just play like regular matches or universe mode, you can collect in-game money, essentially, that you can use to buy like other characters. So that is cool. And I know they have some DLC content, some additional stuff that you can buy throughout the course of the year that is going to see us see the return of CM Punk to WWE video games.
Oh, wow.
That'll be fun.
Sure.
Yeah. But a lot of people love these types of games too because of the fantasy aspect you can do. I mean, a lot of channels on Twitch, and you'll even see some videos pop up on TikTok and YouTube of people that essentially create their own federations and use that and use the 2K games to kind of be the engine that runs everything.
What is the purpose of that?
Just simulation, fantasy matchups. Just, you want to start your own federation. So there's no like aspect of competition with other people. In the My GM mode there is, yes. But that is a completely separate mode than like the universe mode, or just, I just want to play one match and then put it down. So you do have some competition aspects, and then there is an online aspect as well. The only online stuff I really take advantage of are the online creations, because they have one of the best create a character modes in video games that I've seen, and there are a number of times to where people are able to create characters that work for other companies or other legends that are not included in the game. You're able to essentially make them characters. So if I wanted to have MJF in a WWE game, for instance, I can do that thanks to the online creations.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So you could make an Orange Cassidy.
Yep.
You should make an Orange Cassidy.
You like Orange Cassidy?
Yeah, I like Orange Cassidy.
He's a good guy, good wrestler, divisive among some people because of his character.
Why?
Some people think he doesn't take wrestling seriously because Orange Cassidy has this thing to where
his big move.
His big move is like lightly tapping you with his foot, and people in the audience react like he gave you the most violent kick in the world.
Yeah. Or he, like his other big move, his special move is he has his hands in his pockets. Mm-hmm. And then like he uses his power to burst out of his pockets.
And yeah, I mean, he will do a whole bunch of moves with his hands in his pockets, like once he gets revved up. He's a meta character, and meta characters, what do I mean by meta in this particular case? He is having fun at the idea of what wrestling can do. The joke is that he is aware that he's doing what he's doing. If that kind of makes sense, it's because, wrestling, in theory, the event that you see in the ring is supposed to be an athletic contest. We know it's fiction, but in theory, when you're going in as an audience member to watch on TV or something like that, there's that suspension of disbelief that has to continue. And he's found a way, I feel, to kind of play with that and have some fun with that, because, yeah, we all know wrestling is predetermined, but there is a lot of work that goes into it, and I think, his ability in the ring showcases it.
Yeah, cool.
Anyway, how about, before we go to our main event, we kick it to some of our friends at the Deluxe Edition Network.
That sounds like a great idea.
All right, sit back, relax, and enjoy this message.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Everybody be cool, because this is Season 3 of the Church of Tarantino podcast, and we're about to get medieval on your ass. I'm your host, the Reverend Scott K, and for our third season here at the church, we'll be taking an in-depth look at the film that not only changed cinema, but made
Motherfucker! We out the gimp.
And
Royale with cheese.
A part of the pop culture lexicon practically overnight. I'm, of course, talking about Pulp Fiction as it turns 30.
We should have shotguns with this kind of deal.
Along the way, we'll also be taking an investigative look at the psyche of the characters from the world of Pulp Fiction to see what makes them tick on our character study series.
Well, let's not start sucking each other's dicks quite yet.
And over on our Inglourious Blue Ball series, we'll be taking a deep dive into the numerous project announcements spewed from QT's mouth over the past 30 plus years to give you the level of blue balls these unrealized projects have left us with.
I hid this uncomfortable hunk of metal up my ass 2 years.
So grab yourself a big kahuna burger and a $5 shake and stop on down to the Church of Tarantino and become a member of the coolest fucking church around.
God damn, Jimmy. This some serious gourmet shit.
Now touching you 3 times a month.
Hey, Tim, before we get to our main event, would you like a cup of coffee?
Always. I live on that stuff.
Yeah?
Yeah. How do I get through the day otherwise? Caffeine, man.
Caffeine is the way.
Yeah.
I agree. You've got to have caffeine in order to make it through the day. That is for sure. So I have this new coffee I would love for you to try because I absolutely adore it. And you know I have really good tasting coffee.
You most definitely do, folks.
Yeah, so I have this new coffee from Coffee Brothers Coffee Bros. And they are a small roaster in New York City that's run by 2 brothers, which is why they call themselves Coffee Bro.
Imagine that.
I know, right? Yeah. And they have this really great website that sells coffee that they make there in New York City, or they roast there. Sorry, they don't make it there. Obviously, they grow it in places where coffee grows.
Yeah, I don't think the South Bronx is a good place for coffee.
No.
In terms of growing coffee.
No, I think you have to be much closer to the equator.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, here, give it a try. What do you think?
No. So good, folks. So good. This is something I recommend we all try.
Yeah, okay. Well, you know, it's an award-winning coffee, and it's got really great blends, espresso roasts, and single origin coffees, which are all small batch roasted, you guys, in New York City. And we're in Portland, as you know, the home of amazing coffee. But for my coffee at home, I'm going to go for Coffee Bros.
And a reason I would go to Coffee Bros myself is because I love a good discount.
Oh my God. Yes, you do, Mr. Frugal.
Yes, if you go to their website, which you can go to our show description, and it will have a link there that will take you directly to their site, coffeebros.com. If you purchase some coffee from their website, and when it prompts you to put in the promo code, you put in FTN10, you're going to save 10% off of your order.
Wow, that's awesome.
It definitely is.
I hope everybody takes advantage of this wonderful opportunity to get 10% off this fabulous coffee.
I hope so too. Again, people, coffeebros.com. You can find a link in our show description, and at checkout, in the promo code area, put in FTN10. Let's drink some coffee, baby.
Okay.
Falling in love has lost me a lot of money over the years.
Yep.
You know?
I hear you.
Wow. I mean, just the experiences you put yourself through when you are in love with another human being, only to find out weeks, months, maybe years later that, you know, it was all going to end, can hurt. It can be a kick in the gut. But, you know, I think, you know, something we've talked about over time, of course, is that when it comes to love, the important thing is to understand that you are not guaranteed somebody's presence in your life for eternity. You're just not.
No. Nobody can say that. That's what they have to offer. Nobody has that to offer.
Exactly. So what we wanted to...
Not in a healthy way, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there could be, like, I don't know, unhealthy stuff. We don't want to talk about unhealthy stuff here. We want to talk about healthy stuff, right?
Yes.
All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to turn to our friends at Psychology Today and discuss a wonderful article from Sebastian Aucklenberg, PhD, called 8 New Findings on Love and Its Fragility.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely am in that group as well. So, did you want to start off with number 1, or do you want me to start?
Yeah, no, I'll start with number 1.
All right, let's start off.
Number 1 is partner love is the most common type of experienced love. In experiment 2, partner love was the most common type of love at 53.3%, followed by love towards one of their own children, which was 20.9%, love towards another family member, which was 13.8%, And love towards any other person, 9.3%. And love towards a place or thing, 2.8%. That tells us that romantic love is more important to humans than any other kind of love.
Yeah, I mean, whether you are of the monogamous sort or not, people want to have that type of extra connection with another human being or beings in their lives. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that, more than half of the people in this particular experiment, and as always, the link to this article will be in our show description, so you'll be able to dive deeper into the article to find out more of what they're talking about. But, yeah, I mean, that is the goal of most people. Not all, of course. There are people that are perfectly fine alone for their entire lives. But for the most part, most people want that romantic type of connection. And
people will do a lot for it. Or trying to get it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a primary motivator in people's lives.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it probably does boil back to caveman days because, it's that whole instinct of we must continue on so we don't die out.
Right.
How romantic. Mm-hmm. Anyway, shall I go on with number 2?
Yes, let's hear number 2.
All right. Women feel love more often than men. In experiment 1, women reported feeling love 4% of the time they filled out the questionnaire, significantly more often than men, 2.3% of the time they filled out the questionnaires. I guess I can sort of see this because I do think there are some guys who mistake the idea of love with lust.
Yeah.
But I also do think it probably does speak to the fact that on average, more women have to become emotionally mature a lot faster. So by the time they are ready for stuff like romantic love, they're going to be more knowing about it, I guess, more intentional going for it and expressing it, right?
No, I don't think so. I think what this is about is that women, unlike men, need to control the reproductiveness of their partner. Like for men, it's just a natural, because the gestation period for human beings is such that it's just natural that there are these breaks where a male of the species can continue to reproduce with lots of other females, and the female is not able to do that because it takes most of their time. They get impregnated almost immediately after becoming able to be impregnated. Mm-hmm. So, like, in the natural world, right, if we go back to the origins, like the first time human beings walked on the planet, that's what I think's going on.
Okay.
And so the women need romantic love because that's the only thing that keeps the men interested.
Yeah, we're just dumb. We need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Do you want to go on to number 3?
Yeah.
Because I think this does kind of tie in with that.
Yeah. Men are more likely to be with their romantic partner when feeling love than women, but less likely to be with their children or with friends. The scientists then further analyzed the data of Experiment 1 by considering towards which person the volunteers felt love: partner, children, other family members, friends. Men reported less love in all 4 categories, but the gender gap was largest for friends and children and the smallest for romantic partners. When feeling love, men were 28% more likely to be with a romantic partner than women, but 52% less likely to be in the presence of their children than women. This pattern of results was also found in Experiment 2. Here, the male-female love deficit, the male-to-female love deficit was 9.4% for partner love, 43.7% for love towards a child, and 38.1% for love towards another family member. Thus, women experience love towards their children more often than men. That does not surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is because of our society the way it is, kind of training men from the very start that while their presence is important at the time of conception, the rest of the time they're not needed as much. And let's not forget the fact that, and that a lot of times men are going to be the major breadwinners. And society expects them to go out and work 40, 50, 60, 70, 80-hour weeks.
Yeah.
So because they're going to be out of the house a lot more than, the other partner, I mean, they're going to have less time with the children. And when you have less time with your kids, they're, that those feelings that are there, if you have that regular interaction, go down in a way.
So it's really misogyny that causes that.
I think it's a large portion. I mean, there are definitely guys that are just assholes. You also have guys that don't know how to react to their feelings. Deep down, they may love their kids, but talking about it may not be something that they're necessarily comfortable doing, Mm-hmm. And also, too, maybe their idea of love for their kids, if we're talking about a parent with grown-up kids, is, hey, I give them money occasionally, we're all good. And there's a little bit more than that involved when dealing with a kid,
Yeah. So, I assume so. I don't know.
No secret little Aubreys running around?
Nope.
All right. Shall I go on with number 4?
Yeah, let's do it.
Couples that are married for a longer time experience romantic love less often. To explore the experience of love across people who were married for different durations, several groups were compared. People who were married for 3 years or longer reported 36.7% less partner love than people who were married for 2 years or less. Honeymoon period, that is to be expected, and I think again, when you have any two people that decide to live together in some sort of romantic way for a long period of time, they will find that paths could potentially diverge, or that what worked in year 2 doesn't work in year 7 anymore.
Right.
And I think that is, one thing that polyamory has it above monogamy is the fact that you can make adjustments for that without having to end the romantic relationship. You can say to yourself that, this situation is evolving and it's becoming different, and I'm okay with that. Any other thoughts?
No, I think that's it. Why limit you? Because there is this increased feelings of love at the beginning of a relationship, which we call new relationship energy, that creates more love. And so that should be a good thing, right?
Yeah, love is started by a chemical reaction in the brain. It just is. Oxytocin, among others. And, recognizing that can help the long-term goal of, if you do love that person, but understand that, over time that they will change, then it makes it easier for that change to happen. You're not fighting for something that's not there anymore.
Yeah.
All right, how about you go on to number 5?
Okay, number 5. Romantic love fades away more strongly in women than in men. Interestingly, the loss of love effect in couples married for a longer time was mainly driven by women. While men showed 9.2% reduction between couples married for a short or long time, women showed a much larger reduction of 55.2%. Thus, romantic love fades away more strongly in women than in men, by a lot. So for men, it was 9.2% reduction. For women, it was a 55.2% reduction. That's a big difference.
And
so it leads one to think that it's because women have so much more love to begin with, that they can lose more love and still be in love.
There's that. I think this also speaks to lack of communication, because only 9.2% of guys talking about a reduction in love over a long period of time means that there are a lot of guys who think that everything's okay when it really isn't.
Yeah, that's true.
And they have partners that are not, talking to them about, hey, what you are doing now, I may have found cute in year 1, but we're in year 8 now, and you got to do something different, otherwise I got to go. And I think, too, part of this speaks to just, I think a lot of people when they view romantic love, also view it for some of the financial benefits that come along with it as well. It sounds crass to say that, but that is something to consider, because if you are getting close enough to somebody that you consider living with, then, finances are going to mingle in some way, shape, or form. And if, you are a married person and you have kids and you have a partner that is not doing well on the job market, maybe that would affect the love as well. Doesn't make it right, but if society is deemed that women are going to be the primary careholders for the kids and whatnot, and I can see where it falls away a lot, but the reason for that has to be outside factors.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole thing of the division of labor and how that has manifested itself in a really rigid way is really bad for everybody, and comes from white supremacy and patriarchy
and religious nonsense too. Let's not forget
which is an attempt at control by society, which is governed by men. So
speaking of that, shall we go on to number 6?
Yeah.
All right, number 6. After marriage, passion fades away more strongly in women than in men. No kidding. A similar effect was also found for passion in Experiment 2. Compared to unmarried women, married women showed a 55.3% reduction in passion for their partner. In men, this reduction was only 22.7% and did not reach significance for the comparison between married and unmarried men. This would also be interesting, I guess, to find out, like stuff like hormone levels in both men and women, when it comes to love over time, because maybe this is a situation showing to where women experience an NRE crash much quicker and much more severe than men.
Reduction in passion for their partner. So marriage leads to a reduction in passion.
Well, but let's take that term reduction in passion and not necessarily shine it in a negative light, because we're talking, when you first meet up in a romantic relationship, you have that honeymoon period, you want to be all over each other, but as time goes on, life begins to happen, you see that person, less so than you did at the start of things, and the passion would tend to go down from there. That doesn't mean it's on a bad negative track, though. That doesn't mean it has to be on a bad negative track. It just means that you have to be cognizant of life settling down and what it will take for you to want to have that passion kind of rekindled. I mean, you don't necessarily have to go and try and recapture the, first, years of NRE love or anything like that. But, if you do want to be able to, go off and do something that you don't normally do anymore, say it. Just say, hey, we don't go out as much. Let's do that again. Okay. Everybody wins, and you get that bump in brain chemicals.
Yeah. I think it can be easy to assume things when you've been with somebody for a long time about what they're thinking or doing, and, it's really easy to misinterpret things.
Yeah, and when you assume, we know what happens. So how about you dive into number 7?
Experienced love increases if we do not see our partners for a while. A further analysis performed in the study was after which time of separation the feeling of love for the partner increases. So, is the old proverb, absence makes the heart grow fonder, really true? Experienced partner love showed a trend to increase after separations of 8 hours or longer, with women showing an increase of 37% and men an increase of 15%. This is not surprising to me. I think it's absolutely true. I think when you're in NRE and you're experiencing lots of brain chemical things related to being in love, that makes it difficult to want to not see your partner, but we all have, other things that we have to do other than hang out with our partners. So we begin to experience that being away from them. And for me, it always makes me more excited to see them again the next time.
Yeah, I mean, it is just not healthy for two people to always constantly be by each other's sides with no break. With no break, even if it's to the point where you just got to throw like $20 in your partner's hand and say, go watch a fucking movie somewhere. You know, it's important to have that alone time so you can recharge, or not even necessarily alone time, but you time, because you can spend that time with other people as well. But I think it is true. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. If you are around a romantic partner all the time, you don't necessarily take the time to think about the good things in a relationship, what you miss about that person, what you love about that person, because they're there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't
miss them.
Exactly.
Because they didn't go anywhere.
Yep. All right. Shall I wrap things up with number 8 here?
Yes.
All right. Feeling love makes us feel better. It was also analyzed whether experiencing love had a positive effect on mood and happiness. Overall, people who felt more love were happier and in a better mood. This association was the same for men and for women. I would hope so.
Nice.
You know.
Nice.
And yeah, feeling wanted, feeling loved by somebody that you really care about, of course, it's going to make you feel good.
Yeah. To be loved feels really good, and to love feels really good.
Yeah. I think it is important to remember after, going through this list, of course, it's about understanding how our bodies work too. When it comes to brain chemicals shooting off oxytocin and all those other love chemicals, you have to understand, whether you're male or female or anything like that, just what you go through, because when you're in the middle of an NRE high, you can make some damn foolish decisions.
Yes.
But two, when that NRE high goes down and you find out that maybe you don't have as strong of a connection with the person that you did, being aware of what your body goes through during love, I think can hopefully be a great way to kind of give you that mental check to not just react, but understand that this is just a process we all go through.
Yeah, I think it's good to know that and be able to not change things in your life based on a feeling of new excitement that you are falling in love with someone new.
Even though I am a cynical bastard, what I am not trying to say here is to not experience love, not to fall in love. I mean, as the article points out, it's just damn healthy for you to be in love. If you have that ability in your life, of course. But ultimately, you do want to be mindful of reality as well. And just I think that's the best loving thing you can do for someone that you do care about, is to prepare for the worst too.
Yeah. I mean, you shouldn't go into anything with your eyes not wide open.
Yeah. It will lose you a lot of money, trust me.
Gotta get that prenup.
Oh, God. Never be talked out of a prenup, kids. Whether you're rich or poor or anywhere in between, the most loving thing you can do for a partner that you are considering marrying is signing a prenuptial agreement.
That's right.
Yeah, because you may have, a McDonald's assistant manager salary, but if you get a vindictive partner in your life, half that's going to be gone.
Yep.
Anyway, on that note, any other last words about love?
Well, love is important.
Exciting and new.
Come aboard, we're expecting you.
You got it.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah, it is important. I mean, if you can find it, of course. If you want it, of course. There are people that just don't have desire for romantic love, and that's cool.
Yeah, totally cool.
And that to me is, signaling back to a previous episode, that is also very sex positive as well. You're understanding that, in a positive way, you're expressing yourself by not expressing yourself. But love, if you can find it, embrace it, and just understand it's going to be a lot of hard work.
Well, that's real cheery.
I think it is, though, because you would be acting responsibly, I guess, in terms of not going overboard with just riding the NRE wave wherever it takes you.
Right. Okay.
Anyway.
Well, that's fine.
Okay. I have your approval now.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, yeah. All right, so no objections.
Nope, no objections.
All right, sustained.
Overruled.
Anyway. Well, on that note, for the most electrifying professor in podcasting today, each Monday we'll have something in this podcast space to entertain your ear holes. Until we meet again, we bid you adieu.
So long, folks.
A wee, mon ami. Subscribe to Friends Talking Nerdy
On YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify,
or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Goodbye, darling.